What's the only thing better than a Paul Gilbert inspired alternate picking exercise? How about an alternate picking exercise inspired by 2 Paul Gilbert licks? Today's alternate picking assault combines inside and outside picking to turn you into the next Shred-Eye Knight. Isn't that right, Turkey? Yeah. Well, howdy there, kids. It's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. Now, you guys know that I love sharing some alternate picking exercises with you guys, but the problem is that so many of them only focus either on inside string changes or outside string changes. And if you want to become a really well-rounded master shredder, you got to master both. So that's why I came up with this really cool Paul Gilbert inspired picking sequence in ascending and descending fashion. That way you can practice both and get more better. And if you don't know what I mean by inside and outside string changes, these are your strings. These are your strings on outside string changes. See how my pick is on the outer perimeters of the strings. This is your strings on inside changes, where the pick is kind of batting around inside. I find that players tend to gravitate more to being one or the other. It's kind of like handedness in a sense. I've always been like an outside picking guy myself, so the inside picking licks are my kryptonite, which is why it's important for me to practice licks like the one we're going to talk about today. But first, let's hear your new favorite picking exercise again at STEPDAD speed. As always, downloadable tabs, backing tracks, bonus lessons, and so much more are available to everybody who supports my channel over on the greatest place on the entire interweb, my Patreon page over at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Even for just $1 a month, you get access to all kinds of cool stuff, including a ton of downloadable goodies to go along with today's video. I've made practice tracks to go along with this at a variety of different tempos. I'm putting the MIDI tracks up, that way you can import them into your DAW and make your own perfect practice session. Downloadable tabs, all kinds of goodies. Plus, I'm even making a bonus lesson to go along with this and showing you how to get even more out of this exercise. So don't delay, sign up today. Even for just $1 a month, you get access to all the goods. Click the link in the video description below and sign up today. Thanks. Gear-wise for today's video, I'm playing my lovely Suhr Alt T here into the good old Kemper Profiler. Been a long time since I used this guy. More on why I'm using it again in a video that's coming out next week. Stay tuned. Alright, so this exercise finds us in the saddest of all keys, D minor, but of course you could take this exercise and practice it in different areas of the board and in different keys and stuff, which I do recommend doing. But for today's exercise, we're going to start off here on the D string, fret number 12. And what we're going to do is to walk up the first 4 notes of the D minor scale. D, E, F, and then go to G on the next string here. Okay? And then walk down the way you came. So you're going back to F, and you're going back to E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this is going to be played as triplets, okay? Triplet, 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 triplet. So kind of keep that groove in your head as you play this. Now what you're going to do is to play that ascending Paul Gilbert lick 3 times in a row. 1, 2, 3, and here on beat number 4, we're going to do something a little different. Just walk straight up the scale. D, E, F, G, A, B flat. Okay? So it's just a 6-note walk for the last part of the run. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the first half of this exercise. Now you'll notice there that all those string changes that we did were outside string changes. Down, up, down, up. All those string changes happen on the outside. Front half of this thing is nothing but outside changes. After this, we're going to get to the second half of the lick, which is inside changes, to work out that aspect of our picking. Check this out. We're going to start off here on the C note on the B string. And then what we're going to do is to walk down those 3 notes on the G string that you played earlier. B flat, A, and G, okay? And then walk back up the way you came to A and B flat. Again, that's another classic Paul Gilbert lick, only played with the inside picking instead of the outside stuff that he favors. Again, play it 3 times in a row, and then on the 4th time, you're going to walk down the scale like this. C, B flat, A, G, F, E. Okay? So the whole sequence of the back half of the lick is going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you just start right back over. 1, 2, 3, walk up. 1, 2, 3, walk down. 1, 2, 3, walk up. 1, 2, 3. Now you notice there at the end of that exercise, I started leaning into those accents a little bit harder. Triplet, 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 triplet. Really emphasizing the first note of each of those triplets. Listen again and see if you can hear it. Emphasizing the downbeat, even when you're just practicing and exercising and stuff like that, is so freaking important. For one, because it sounds great whenever you're playing, actual music. It makes you sound super tied into the rhythm. It makes you groove better. But the other great thing about it too is you become kind of like a human metronome at that point. Whenever we play really monotone like this, with no accents or anything, it becomes really easy to lose track of where the beat is, especially at really high tempos. But whenever we play with accents like this, I'm hearing those accents almost like I'm listening to a metronome clicking away. And also because I'm digging into those harder, it's almost like having a metronome strapped to my wrist or something like that, telling me exactly where the beat is. And it just keeps me tied into the rhythm that much better. And because this exercise is based on triplets, it's an odd number. And that means that some of your accents are going to be on downstrokes, and some of them are going to be on upstrokes. I find a lot of players can really only accent with their downstrokes a lot of the time. And that's really going to limit you, especially when you're playing stuff that's based on triplets. And as you practice this, be sure to really maintain that strict alternate picking. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, the entire way through. I can already see somebody out there being tempted to go down, up, down, down, and to kind of economy pick through that first part right there, or go up, down, up for the descending part of the lick. That's not really what this is about. And the problem is too, is whenever you're playing those like repeating Paul Gilbert style licks and you try to do economy picking, it turns into a nightmare really fast. Because look, you'd have down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Like, that's like playing 5 different licks. Whereas this, you learn one thing, you copy and paste, and it's going to work out more better. Alright guys, it's just like my wife said on our honeymoon, anything worth doing is worth doing backwards too. So I came up with a descending version of this lick that sounds like this. Same idea as the ascending version, it's that 6-note triplet sort of pattern. Playing through a lick 3 times, walking down the 4th time, yada yada yada. Here's the pattern that we're going to be using. This is still based on D minor. We're going to have F, E, D, C, B flat, A, and this lonely G note here on the bottom. So what we're going to do is to start off by descending down the D string here, starting from the F note, okay? We're going to start with the downstroke here and play F, E, D. Grab the C note with your upstroke. Again, there's that inside picking, the bane of my existence. This is the stuff I need to practice 10 times more than my outside picking stuff. So we're walking down, then walk back up the way you came. D, E, okay? 3 times in a row, just like before, and then play the descent down the scale. F, E, D, C, B flat, A. 1, 2, 3, walk down. After this, we're gonna play this lick. That's G, A, B flat, C, B flat, A. We're gonna play that lick 3 times in a row. 1, 2, 3, and then just walk up the pattern. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, the great thing about that exercise is the way that it combines all 4 string changing possibilities. You have ascending outside and ascending inside. Then you have descending outside and descending inside. Those are the 4 string changing mechanics of alternate picking. You'll never encounter anything that isn't one of those changes. So if you practice stuff like this religiously, you're going to get really freaking good at all the possibilities of string changing. But it's important to remember, don't become obsessed with doing this stuff like 8 hours a day. Play some songs too, play some music, right? Use this idea while you're improvising. Use it in your phrasing and stuff. I'll show you a couple ideas of that here in a second too. Don't just devote yourself entirely to playing exercises. That's not what music is about. And honestly, as for like how much time you should be devoting into this, there's been a lot of studies and stuff that have shown that 5 minutes is the sweet spot for learning anything new. Any new physical activity, whether you're shooting, free throws or practicing your underwater basket weaving, whatever it is. 5 minutes at a time tends to be the brain's maximum for soaking in new information. So I think it's a great idea if it's like the start of your day and you're still getting your fingers warmed up and stuff like that. Maybe spend 5 minutes on the ascending version at a tempo that feels good for you. Then spend 5 minutes on the descending version. And then get back to, playing music or working on some other exercise or something. And I also encourage you guys to practice this with all kinds of other different fingering combinations and stuff like that. And again, working this into your soloing and stuff too. Because whenever I learn a sequenced idea like this, here's how I look at it. I'm like, okay, the original lick was dependent on having 3 notes, and then a single note. So anywhere that I have that configuration of 3 notes, 1 note, I can practice this idea. So for example, a lot of us use that kind of blues Dorian sort of thing, where on the top 3 strings you have that symmetrical pattern. Kind of that Jimmy Page sort of thing. Well, that's an area where I have 3 notes, and a single note, right? So I could practice this lick there too. Or the descending version. Get that stuff fast enough, you might accidentally end up playing like some sick Steve Morse licks or something, I could also practice this with something weird like this half-old diminished scale. The sky's the limit. So anytime that you see 3-3-1, try to practice this lick idea inside of that pattern. And also in the exclusive Patreon only video, I'm going to show you guys how you can practice this with scale patterns all over the neck of the guitar for maximum shred coverage. So there you go, guys, a great alternate picking exercise to turn you into a better shredder. And don't forget to grab those practice tracks that I made over on the Patreon page and start playing along. I put those up at a variety of different tempos, all the way from like 80 BPM to 200 BPM, so you can find exactly the speed that you need for the level that you're at with your playing. It's really important to start off slow and completely in control while you're still kind of learning the pattern and the movements that you need to make it happen. But I also think that there's a benefit to, you know, after you have it down and you can play it pretty darn well, reliably, just rocketing up to a higher tempo, just going for it and hanging on for dear life. Troy Grady from Cracking the Code, he put up a really cool video about this over on his channel recently. It's like beginner 200 BPM first day or something like that. And he explains a lot of the psychology as to why it works, just to, you know, push yourself beyond the limits of what your body and your mind can really handle. It's really cool, so be sure to check that out and practice this lick with those ideas. Thanks so much for liking this video and subscribing. Be sure to ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. Well guys, it's been fun as always, but now it's time for me to go practice and get my chops a-burning. Less clicking, more picking.